struggle stalwart Dr. Allan Boesak says 2024 was clouded by a reign of evil. Boesak who was delivering his New Year's message, says inequalities remain one of the key concerns even under the government of national unity. He has also slammed some greedy African leaders as the reason why the continent is in conflict with itself. Boesak, who is the chairperson of the Walter and Albertina Sisulu Foundation for Social Justice, joins me now. Thank you so much for the time, Reverend Allan Boesak. Really appreciate it. Let's just talk about, if you'll allow me, to unpack 2024 to start off with. It was a year in which we hoped as well that we'd look at things like justice, freedom, democracy being celebrated. Instead, it feels as though we have let go of a year in which there was a lot of hardship.
Yes, good morning, Arabella, and good morning to your listeners. Thank you for this opportunity. 2024 was in many, many ways a watershed here. I mean, we have seen levels of evil unfolding that most of us have not seen in our lifetime. And it is not just the evil that I'm talking about, it is the way that same evil has been protected, funded, justified, glorified, even in many circles. And it doesn't seem as if the end is in sight. And so in that sense, globally, 2024 was an extraordinarily difficult year for everyone involved, especially those who have become the victims of those in power and who abuse their power in such scandalous ways. But at the same time, for us here in South Africa, 2024, that was supposed to have been a year of celebration of our democracy or our democratic experiment, has become a year we can mostly say we have commemorated it, but we did not celebrate it. It was a reminder of 30 years of betrayal and misrule that our people did not expect, not in the struggle and not in the beginning of 1994. So we have also seen, of course, the formation of the so-called Government of National Unity, which was a kind of a pinnacle of the betrayal that I'm talking about. And so, yeah, it is a very, very challenging year. And in light of that, I thought that a letter to our people, to remind them not only of 24, but to remind them of the new opportunities in 2025 that present itself if one recognizes that there is a crisis, but there is something that we can and must do about that crisis and try to give people some hope for the year that lies ahead.
Yeah, this hope, however, is one that would need real action, because hope itself won't be enough without the kind of leaders that are ultimately aimed at pushing along the kind of reverence to what we need to get done in this country. We've just been speaking about Gauteng, which could be on the verge of bankruptcy because of things like corruption, leadership that just hasn't worked for the longest time. And now we host the G20 summit as well, and yet we find ourselves still in disarray.
Well, let me quickly say two things about this hope that you're talking about. Please keep in mind that whenever I speak of hope like African church father Augustine did way back in the 5th century. He said that hope is a mother with two children, two beautiful daughters, he actually says. One is called anger and the other is called courage. So hope is having the anger when you see what is happening around yourself in our world, what is being done to those, especially those more vulnerable than ourselves. And then second, the daughter's name is is courage. That means the courage to not only see, to recognize, but to get up and do something about it. That's the way I speak of hope. And leadership, of course, is what we need. And leadership is what we have not had in a very, very long time, from top to bottom. South Africa has leaders without any vision, without any principles, without any understanding, without any care and compassion for people, and fundamentally a lack of real love for the people of South Africa, because all of their love is soaked up in themselves and their self-preservation and their own selfish agendas.
Have we also lost the kind of citizenry justice, in the sense that citizens no longer go and actually do this. They don't fight for the country as we should anymore. The protesting perhaps looks very different. You want protesting, but then it turns evil. It turns to destroying of the very same infrastructure we've been trying to build. Has citizen justice failed us?
Yes, citizen justice has failed us. I mean, not because the people wanted to, but I think our citizenry, our citizenship, in the real full sense of the world, of our civil responsibility, sense of that civil responsibility, has been eroded over the last 30 years through many ways. I mean, not just from the side of government, who kept on telling us, you don't have to worry because we are now the government of the people. We are your choice. You can vote for us and we are your liberation movement. That is on the one hand, but we have given it up voluntarily. We have actually said, now that we have a government of our own choice, we can sit back and things will happen. We have no responsibility anymore. So it goes both ways a little bit, and that's one of the reasons, Arabella, that I have tried since last year to say to people, we have to really awake, we have to arise, we have to rebuild those things that made South Africa such a formidable civil society country with a formidable civil society movement in the 1970s, but especially in the 1980s. We have that. It's virtually in our DNA, but we have decided to give that up. I'm saying to people, you can't give that up. It's now more necessary than ever before. And 2025 is going to be the year of testing whether we can actually gather what is in ourselves, inspire ourselves, reclaim what we knew was ours, take that revolution that they have stolen from us and make it our own again and change this country for the better and not leave it in the hands of those who clearly have no interest to serve the people.
Yeah, I mean, one wonders, when is enough though? Why is it that our leaders do not see the decay, the rot, the ability to stifle and weaken this country as it has been over the last number of years, if not more, really? Why does our leadership not stand firm?
Well, I think they see it. The point is that I made just a minute before. They do not care. Look, we have a leadership that is bought and sold to the highest bidder. We have a leadership that is bribed. We have a leadership that's so steeped in corruption. They really do not care what happens to the people. Way back in 1963, I think it was, that Walter Sisulu made that point. He said, our house is on fire. We are in such a crisis that only the highest kind of leadership can help us out of this crisis. Now, that was 1963. The same is true in 2024, only in degrees much higher than he had even imagined it to be. And so they don't see it, they don't care. My call is not for this current leadership to change their minds or their hearts. I don't think they do have the mind to change. I do not think they have the heart to change. They're completely heartless people. My call is for a total new leadership. Throw these people out who are now ruling our country and ruining our country and making life so miserable for our people, and get a new leadership. And that is what the conversation should be all about. How do we get the leadership that our people so richly deserve and haven't had for too long?
So is that where the hope lies for 2025? In new leadership? Yeah. We've just come from an election.
Well, that election, let me not say too much about the election itself, but let me say that the election had a result that was so clearly predicted in 2019 already by Ms. Helen Zille, to the numbers, to the outcome, to everything. They knew already in 2019 what the election of 2024 would look like. She did say that the ANC would come out with something around 40%. The DA would come out around something like 20%. And that's exactly how it happened. So don't ask me how a politician can be so precise in a prediction so long before a specific election. That's a conversation for another time. But the monstrosity that this election gave us, clearly not the expression of the will of the people, clearly not the vision that the people have had for themselves, clearly not what we have fought and struggled for so long, and that so many have sacrificed for so long. That is what I mean. So the result of this election is not the result towards the vision, the fulfillment of the vision that the people have for themselves. And that's what I'm saying. These leadership that we now have, they've got to go. Those criminals that now rule the country, they've got to go. We have to find a way to replace them. I'm not talking about violent revolution, but I'm talking about the revolution that Martin Luther King talked about, and that Albert Luthuli talked about, and that Walter Sisulu talked about. That revolution of values and of reality and of returning and reclaiming the vision for the people, that will make things right for us. And we know that there are lots of South Africans, talented, gifted South Africans, who know where we should be going, and we know how we should break down what we've got right now. That's what I hope we will see in 2025.
Dr. Allan Boesak, we need to get you on at least and have a midterm sort of review, if possible, as well, and see how things are faring.
Absolutely.
And hopefully we can have this chat
again.
Thank you so much, Reverend Allan Boesak, the chairperson of the Walter and Albertina Sisulu Foundation for Social Justice.